Events Now reporter for Axios, Sara Fisher. Sara, great to have you with us this morning. A lot to get to. Don't even know where to begin, but let's start right here. For one story, many issue. People concerned about the LGBT communities, concerned about this policy about banning transgender from the military. The political world really can't believe the president's announcing such a major policy via Twitter. And we were talking a little bit about this offline, like just the language that was used. Yes. Please be advised, thank you. That type of language used seems somewhat strange, no?
This is one of the biggest, steps that the president has taken into sort of culture in the United States. Axios' Jonathan Swan reported that a lot of this has to do with pressure that he got internally from some of the nationalist wing inside the White House. Those like, Steve Bannon, Mark Short, Rick Dearborn, even Vice President Mike Pence. These are people that wanted to push the president to move to appease the base, and they weren't expecting necessarily it to happen so quickly or abruptly on Twitter, but as we know, that's how the president likes to communicate his policy messages.
Yeah, it certainly is. So there's also this whole Sessions debacle, as we're calling it right now. The president hammering Jeff Sessions, Attorney General, on Twitter again yesterday. So where do you see this whole thing going in light of the Mueller investigation as well?
Well, I think the president has a very different understanding of how he wants us to move forward than what his lawyers want. His lawyers really want him to stay away from the Sessions and Mueller investigation. They think of it as dynamite, but the president will not quit. And the interesting dynamic here is that the president had the opportunity to accept Attorney General Jeff Sessions' resignation just a few months ago, but he did not. Now there seems to be a complete reversal with the president continuously coming down on his Attorney General. The awkward thing, though, is, as you mentioned, there would be a very difficult time if the president tried to make a replacement happen for him within recess. Democrats don't seem to want to extend recess further to make that happen. And even if the president were to bring someone up, it would be very unclear and unlikely that somebody would get approved.
Sara, let me ask you really quickly about the news that was breaking late last night from inside the White House communications, in particular with the director there, Anthony Scaramucci, concerned that the chief of staff is possibly leaking his financial forms. Again, another example of just the internal issues in the White House spilling out into public view. It's got to be somewhat either demoralizing for other staffers in the White House to see this internal feud, or is it at least, to say the least, disrupting operations there?
Absolutely both. You hit it nail on the head. If you're a staffer inside the White House, you take a look at what Anthony Scaramucci is doing and you're scared. Think about Mark Short. He found out that he was going to be potentially fired from a Politico article and then had to give his resignation. There was no heads up. This wasn't something that he was even expecting. And that's the way that we expect Anthony Scaramucci is going to roll. He was brought on by President Trump to sort of be his de facto almost chief of staff and spokesperson. And the crazy part about it is Scaramucci has said continuously that leaks are his priority. He wants to go after people that are going to be leaking from the White House, and he's prepared, as he said, to cut the communications staff down to just himself and Sarah Huckabee Sanders to do so.
I have a feeling that President Trump likes Scaramucci's style. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, certainly his communication style when you see him at the podium. All right, Sara Fisher live for us in Washington. Thank you very much. We'll see you again in a bit.
Thank you.
The Senate's going to continue.